cancel everything on my schedule for the entire month of September and 2 weeks of October, and find me an apartment in Rome.
Oh my God.
And it was like
amazing.
panic.
I believe that each and every one of us has the power within ourselves to create the life that we really want. And I want to help give you the tools to make that happen. I'm Danica Patrick, and I'm pretty intense.
Welcome to the Pretty Intense podcast. Today on the show is Bobby Flay, a fantastic chef, New York City boy that made it big. And look, I went on his show. He's a great guy. He's funny. We have a lot of similar interests. And one of them that came up was his love for horses and horse racing. And oh my gosh, horse racing and race cars are very similar. I knew that horsepower and horses were both very expensive, but it turns out they actually have a lot of really common themes too. So we talked about that. We talked about things that he's done in his life that have really been meaningful to him. He took a trip to Rome and spent 5 weeks by himself. So I thought that was really inspiring. So we talked about why, we talked about how he felt about it, and how that maybe changed his life now after that trip, just him and his cat Nacho. Please enjoy. When I came on your show, we were talking about the Kentucky Derby, and you've been going there forever.
Well, I'm a horse racing fan in general.
You love horses.
Yeah, I own and breed thoroughbreds.
You know, in racing, they would always say horses and horsepower are expensive.
They are very expensive. I have a lot of horses that are like very slow, but they eat a lot. But, you know, it just costs money.
Where do they live?
A lot of them live in Kentucky, in Lexington, in horse country. And especially the ones that I breed, you know, that's where the moms live, and that's where all the stallions are. And it's a big industry there.
So do you go there very often?
I do.
Yeah.
I love it there.
So you like to ride them too then?
I don't ride them.
Oh.
I don't ride them, no. I don't ride those thoroughbreds, not a chance in hell.
Do they know how to even walk? Do they just...
They know how to walk, but they really want to run. And they can take off at any minute. And I don't want to go through some fence on a thoroughbred going 35 miles an hour.
What is what's their training? What's a horse's training for the Kentucky Derby or for the Belmont or?
Well, first of all, it's a long story, but there's about 20-something thousand foals born every year in the thoroughbred business. So out of those 20,000 foals, 20 of them will make it to the Kentucky Derby as a 3-year-old. They're only 3-year-olds. So they have one shot at it.
Hang on. Okay, it's only when they're 3.
Yes.
Okay, it's not under or it's not.
No, they can't do it twice.
I knew there was an age, but I didn't realize there was an only age.
3 years old. And you know that thoroughbred horses all have the same birthday, January 1st.
Why?
Because it keeps the industry sort of regulated in that way, so that if the horse is born on January 3rd, let's say, 1 year later on January 1st, the horse is 1 year old. If you're born on December 25th, you're 1 in 5 days. So it doesn't happen very often because the breeding is obviously timed in a way that they're born after January. But any horse, horses are born basically from January through like June, and they're all the same. They're all considered the same age as 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. Every year on January 1st, every horse turns another age.
All horses, period?
Thoroughbreds.
Thoroughbreds only.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is for competing. It makes it easier to just say you're in, you're out.
Yeah, keep track of it. Mm-hmm.
And you have mostly female horses, or all female horses, is that right?
Almost all fillies, yeah.
Why is that?
Because
we're awesome?
Well, obviously. But also because I want to keep them in my family of horses. So after their racing career, I can breed to them, and then they can have their babies. So I usually keep the fillies and sell the colts.
There have been a couple fillies in the Derby.
Mm-hmm. There have, not many. I mean, there's been a few. There's definitely been a lot in the Derby. There's only been a few that have won.
It's funny. It's a lot like racing. There hasn't been many girls, but there's been a couple.
Sometimes
horses and horsepower.
Exactly.
So many similarities.
Every once in a while, somebody just transcends the what people think.
Yeah, I guess. And you named it Sophie, right? Your first horse.
My first horse
after your daughter.
My first horse was named Sophie Salad. Yeah.
Sophie Salad.
Sophie Salad. You know.
Is she mad you added salad to the end of it?
No, she loved it. I mean, she was a kid then. I mean,
Yeah.
now she's an adult. So, and she's actually into horse racing. She has her own horse now, and she's totally into it.
How old is she?
23. Yeah.
So will she ride the thoroughbreds?
No. Thoroughbreds are very dangerous horses. Stay off them. Everybody I know that rides them gets hurt. Everybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can't afford to get hurt like getting thrown from a horse, you know?
So is it kind of shocking that all the jockeys are so damn small?
Well, they have to be because there's a weight requirement.
Oh, requirement? Mm-hmm. Huh. I thought it was just because lighter, faster. Like the less the horse has to carry, the faster the horse can go.
No, it is. But so like so if I own a horse and my jockey weighs 110 pounds and yours weighs 140, you're at a disadvantage. So the jockeys have to be they're very lean. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so there's not an actual rule on the weight for the jockey. It's just
there is an actual
common sense.
They have to carry a certain amount of weight.
Oh.
And so depending on it's a little complicated, but depending on how the race is how the race is graded. So if in the Kentucky Derby, for instance, because everybody knows that race, they all carry 126 pounds. So the jockeys are probably, let's say, 110 to 115 pounds.
Jeez, are you kidding me? That makes me feel so fat as a girl.
So here's what they do. So they have to carry 126.
I could be a jockey is what it's saying. But.
Right. So if you're 115 and you're the jockey of a Kentucky Derby horse, you have to carry 126. They give you 11 pounds of weights to put in your saddle.
Okay. They did that in racing too.
Really?
Yeah. There was they call it ballast, and they would weigh the lightest and weigh the heaviest driver and then put categories together of like this weight to this weight, you carry this weight to this weight, you carry this much weight.
Seriously?
Yeah. So like I always carried
So
the
the
most
weight
amount
of a
ballast.
driver makes a difference?
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing. It's funny how similar racing and horse racing are.
Yeah.
Now that you're starting to tell me all these
Right.
details, is that I mean it's when you're talking about the acceleration speed, especially, I think like terminal velocity is not something where the weight is as critical once the mass is in motion, but getting to that speed, the lighter, the faster you can get there.
Really?
Think about getting a semi truck to 100 miles an hour,
Right.
and then think about getting a bike,
Right.
like a crotch rocket to 100 miles an
Right.
hour. Big difference.
Yeah.
So I'm obviously making it really dramatic.
Yeah, but that makes sense.
So when we're dealing with qualifying times and we're within thousandths of a second and hundredths of a second mean many positions and tenths of a second mean beginning to the end of the field sometimes, then look, if it mattered, I would have won every race if it was the most critical thing.
Right.
But it's just part of it.
Right. Everything counts.
It all counts. We were talking about Sophie, your daughter, and you have a kids show, a cooking show with her, right?
Well, well, it hasn't aired yet. We just shot it. It's called The Flay List, and it actually takes place in New York. We did 6 episodes. So what we did was we picked 6 like very sort of classic dishes. So like steak and tacos and lobster roll and fried
Peanut
chicken.
butter and jelly sandwich. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, that's actually a good one. And then so like, I took her to places in New York that I've been eating that particular dish, basically for either my whole life or like a really long period of time. Mm-hmm. And then she would then take me to a place that she knew of that she goes to, probably with her friends, that I haven't been to show like a different sort of option for, basically younger people.
Okay.
So like I took her to this, so for burgers, I took her to this place called JG Mellon's, which is like a place that I
anywhere that burgers are good that you say is obviously off the charts, so I need to go there.
It's the most simple burger, but it's literally the most satisfying burger I've ever eaten. Now, part of that could be because it reminds me of my childhood. There's a lot of sort of, mind memory and to equating to deliciousness. It happens a lot. Like somebody will say, like, I can only eat my mother's meatballs because that's how I remember meatballs are supposed to taste. And then they go to someplace else and like, these aren't meatballs. It's the same thing.
Have you ever been to Au Cheval in Chicago?
Of course. They opened here.
They did?
They just opened here.
They're known for the burger.
Yeah.
Is it good?
It is good. It's really good.
Super greasy.
It's crazy.
I've always been pretty drunk when I've ate it, but it's pretty greasy.
Well,
I don't mean to get off topic, but when you said burger,
no.
I thought Au Cheval in Chicago because growing up there.
It's a sloppy burger.
Yeah,
and that's what it's meant to be.
Okay.
But that's the kind of burger where, like, if I eat that burger, I can't eat for like 3 days. It's crazy.
Yeah, I do in the morning. It turns out it's probably because of a hangover, but I'm trying to catch it before it really happens at night with that and the fries. And the fries are totally the most greasy fries too.
So instead of taking aspirin, you go and get a greasy cheeseburger.
Yeah, or Zofran. That's the adult version of a hangover cure. I'm not sure if you know about that, but it is a nausea medicine. It's like chemo patients use it, but it's absolutely the most valuable thing as an adult.
Really?
Because if you're sick, you take it, or if you're hungover, you take it.
I knew I was going to learn something here today.
Zofran.
Okay.
You're welcome. Okay, so you took her around to your kind of places. She took you to her places.
Yeah. It's called the Flay List. So basically,
is it 3 and 3, or is it like one episode is you each going somewhere?
One episode is one subject. Yeah. So I took her to this place called J.G. Mellon's, which has been around since 1972. I basically grew up in this place, and she took me to Black Tap, which is like a very Instagrammable place. Like they have all these like really cool, fancy looking shakes and on and on, and so that was sort of the idea. It was sort of like old school, new school.
Ah, yeah, that's cool. There are so many people that don't know how to cook.
You think so?
Would you agree?
I don't know.
I think that. I guess that's my opinion. I should say this is my opinion.
Are you a good cook?
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
I've said this a few times lately because it really made me go, what? Look, I think I'm a good cook, yes. But the other night we're watching basketball and Stephen Curry's playing. And, he's phenomenal. I think that night he was sick. And Aaron's sitting there and he's going, man, Stefan's so good. And we were sitting there. About 10 seconds later, he goes, babe, your cooking is like Stephen Curry's playing.
Really?
And I was like, what? And I think, here's the deal. It's because I made him maca pumpkin chocolate chip pancakes. I'm pretty sure that's why, because it was dinner, and that's what I made him for dinner, and, was slobbered with peanut butter.
That's what you made him for dinner?
Yeah, we love breakfast for dinner. It's a thing.
I'm totally into it. Okay.
So I think that's probably why, but yeah, no, I think I'm a good cook. I really do. I really love cooking. I really I'm one of those people that can I probably am best when I have nothing. Because you really have to think outside the box. It's easy to go to the grocery store and get all the stuff you normally get.
Yeah.
And okay, this is for me, maybe not for you, but you get the stuff you normally get and you just kind of make your meals, make them predictable, make them healthy. But when you've got nothing left in the kitchen, like especially the fridge, you got to dig deep.
Into the pantry?
Into the pantry, and then there's leftover stuff there'll be a potato or there'll be an onion or an apple or things like that that you can kind of
So how do you decide how you're going to cook? Like, do you look up recipes online? Do you just look at a potato and decide what you're going to make? Do you have those abilities?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I watched about 1 million episodes of Chopped and thought, what would I do?
Right.
And then I went on and I won.
It's like Jeopardy. People stay at home and they're like, I can do that. But it's not easy when you get there. Right?
Oh, James, he finally lost.
He did lose.
Just short of Ken Jennings, 2.5 something or 6 million.
They need to have a pay-per-view showdown, don't you think?
That's a great idea.
Book it. Right here.
We won't air this episode until that's happened so that no one else gets the idea. No, that's a great idea. But so speaking of Jeopardy, Aaron's really good at Jeopardy.
Really?
Yeah. I'm good at cooking and he's good at Jeopardy.
I'm not good at Jeopardy.
I am not good at Jeopardy. I did one night when I was in Indianapolis for the Indy 500. I was one of the broadcast team. shift in position. And my parents and I were watching it, and I was like, all right, collectively, let's see how we can do. And like Aaron can get like 20 right.
Really?
On his own. We got 12. 3 people. We got 12 right.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, when I watch it, I'm like, this is definitely not me.
Speaking of education, I said, I don't think enough people know how to cook. Do you agree with that or not? Or you don't agree with that?
Not enough people
know how to cook.
I think it's growing. I think especially in this country, I think the interest in food has really grown over the last 10 or 15 years. And I think people are a lot more interested in cooking, and they're doing it in lots of different ways. Even like these at-home meal kits that you can order, like in Blue Apron and all that.
Yeah.
It just teaches people to get around the kitchen a little bit more. Even if they're given a head start, it's still teaching them how to do stuff. And of course, now with all the incredible information you can get online, and it's just how to do something. You look it up on YouTube, and you will find it. And so I think it's empowering people to cook more, for sure.
Do you ever do that?
What? Go to YouTube?
Anything.
Absolutely.
You do?
Yes. Because I have to be, like, you did my show. So I have to be sharp, because there are going to be, I just yesterday finished my 50th episode this season. So we're done with 50 episodes. So
you mastered 50 other people's recipes.
No, I didn't master them. I lost a bunch of them.
How many did you win? How many did you lose? Can you say that?
I was 29 and 21.
Really?
Yeah.
So you won 29.
I won 29 and lost 21.
Okay.
I'm usually in like 65 to 70% success rate.
Okay.
But there's plenty of times where, somebody will say a dish, and I'll be like, I've never made that before. Now that said, what I do is when can't sleep in the middle of the night, like I'll say, like, I don't know a lot about like Thai cuisine. Let me look up a couple of like classic Thai dishes and just get a sense of what they are. And like you watch people do it on YouTube and you learn.
Yeah.
It's like, Thai food is not my go-to. Everybody has their lane, but I have to be ready for anything. And not that I'm going to make it perfectly, but if I can, my goal is to be able to complete it and make it taste good. That's it. And then it's up to the judges.
It's funny you say that, because when I was on Chopped, look, who is the other girl? Amanda Beard, maybe, or something. She's a swimmer, and she was really good. Like, she knew how to make homemade almond milk, which, yes, I know how to do that now, but like that point in time, I didn't know how. She knew what the names of certain things were. She knew how to the certain way to chop certain foods and then put it together was called something. I'm like, look, she's above my head with her knowledge in culinary. So what I said to the judges was, you have to enjoy what you're eating. Look, at the end of the day, if you don't like it, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
And I won.
Because you got it like that. So you coerced the judges is what you're saying.
And I slipped them a 20. All of them. And then 100 after that, because it didn't do it.
They're easy to buy.
They were really nice. So do you think that there should be more, I don't know, do you think there should be more education in school? Like, do you think that like the home ec sort of like cooking class is I don't even.
Do I think so?
Yeah.
I definitely think so. I dropped out of high school. I stopped.
Up high. Yeah, I dropped out of high school too.
Did you?
Yeah, I have a GED.
Me too.
Yeah.
You and I went to the same college.
Yeah. You know what I call it?
We have the same degree.
What do you have? Does the acronym stand for something in your world?
No, but I have another acronym.
Okay, I'll hear that.
Okay.
Mine's called Good Enough Diploma.
Good Enough Diploma. So, I used to, I'm from New York, and we used to hang out on Lexington Avenue, and that's where we hung out. And
what does that mean? We hung out on Lexington. Is that like a cool place? Is this like
It's not that it was a cool place. Just where we were. It's so different now. Like literally, there was like 40 to 60 kids hanging out on the street corner every single night.
Okay, so it'd be like me saying when I grew up, we hung out outside the mobile gas station.
Yes, exactly. It was the place that you hung out.
Just like this is what we did.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
But that
picture in a street now.
That doesn't happen anymore because like they don't let kids do that anymore.
No, I think we got bothered one time by the cops. Like, you need to move along.
Yeah. But anyway, we always used to say that we went to UCLA, the University corner of Lexington Avenue. And like, so when I say that, people are like, UCLA, you went to UCLA? I'm like, not really, but yeah. So do I think that they should teach cooking in schools more? 100%. I think we need more vocational education, period. Because when I was in school, I had zero interest in opening a textbook. Zero. I don't know if I was intimidated by it or I just wasn't interested in it, but it didn't happen.
I don't think you're alone. I think that a lot of people don't. Look, I was good in school. I didn't study. I always got like a 3.5 or above. But I didn't ever study and I didn't really love it. And in fact, I asked my social studies teacher in 5th grade what the point of the class was because I just didn't get it. But now I want to learn. I think that school's all messed up. I think that when we go at the wrong age. But anyway, so you're not interested in opening a book. I agree.
And the first time I became interested was when I quit school and went to work in a restaurant as a cook. And I started working with my hands. And then I actually got interested in life right there. That's how it started.
Life?
In general. I wasn't interested in anything, really. I was just a kid hanging out in the street corner.
Did you find that you say life, that sounds pretty transformative?
Oh, definitely.
So there's something to be said for being inspired and enjoying life and being positive.
Well, look what the food business has been able to do for my life. It's opened up so many doors and it's opened my eyes up to the world. I mean, the one thing that I'll never forget, there's a guy who handed me a check for my college for my culinary tuition the day I went to school. And he said to me, I'm doing this because I want to. I worked for him. He said, I'm doing this because I want to. You don't owe me anything. And I just want you to remember something. If you become successful as a cook, you can take this anywhere in the world and apply it. And when he said it to me, it didn't really register. But now I know that anywhere in the world I go to, I can go anywhere. I can go to Italy, I can go to Thailand, I can go to Russia. It doesn't matter. I can walk into a kitchen, not speak their language, and then cook with them.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
It's kind of like math. You can do it anywhere. Math is math. Cooking is cooking.
Yeah. I'm not good at math, but I can.
Me neither. Me neither.
I'm not good at math, but I can definitely cook. And so like last year, I did something that I've always wanted. I'm obsessed with Italy. Like in my mind, I want to live the Italian lifestyle.
Tell me, because I've never been there.
Okay.
So when I go, I need to know all the deets.
All right. You need to spend a little less time in Green Bay and a little more time in Rome. I mean,
seriously.
I
agree.
I mean, I love Green Bay. I'm sure it's fun as hell, but like.
I can get Italian wine somewhere, but
exactly.
Let's face it, it's not Italy.
I took last year, right around this time last year, I was on the Amalfi Coast with some friends. And the Amalfi Coast, it's right on the Mediterranean, and it's where like Capri is and Positano, all these beautiful.
Humble brag.
Well, I'm getting to a point. No, I'm not humble bragging. I'm bragging.
I love it.
So
no, I want you to keep going.
I'm hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
And we're there for about a week.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in my bathing suit, drinking an espresso, looking at the Mediterranean, and I called my office and I said, ladies, cancel everything on my schedule for the entire month of September and 2 weeks of October and find me an apartment in Rome.
Oh my God.
And it was like amazing. Panic. Because they were like, you have a full schedule. I was like, if it's not important, we need to postpone it. I said, I need to do this for me.
Wow.
And
was this last year? Was this 2018?
November, yeah.
Okay.
And I took my cat, Nacho, and we went to Rome for 6 weeks. Just I was by myself.
What?
And completely by myself. And I had no plans except that I was going to live in Rome. And I signed up for Italian classes for 3.5 hours every day, like in a classroom with a bunch of people who are from all over the world.
Wow.
And I went, and I went to eat lunch and dinner every day, and I'd walk into the restaurants and I would talk to the chefs, and then they would invite me to come and cook in their restaurants. And it was an amazing experience because my business, I have to say that I really feel like the food business, the restaurant business, is the most generous business, period. We are competitive, but we have amazing camaraderie amongst us globally. So like when when another chef comes into my restaurant, he's given like the red carpet experience. Like we send out food to them, we buy their dinners, whatever it is. It's very give and take.
I feel this way about the wine business. I make wine and I feel the same. You're competitive,
Right,
but
exactly
it's like all
right.
for one.
I think the food and beverage businesses are very much like that.
Yeah.
And I don't speak Italian. I can get by when I'm in Italy, but it didn't matter because when we were all cooking together, when I was in their kitchens, we spoke the same language at the stove. Yeah. So I feel blessed that I have that skill.
What made you say, I'm not leaving, I have to stay here? Was there a moment? Did you have an epiphany? That's a big dramatic decision.
In Italy?
Yeah.
Well, I was there, and then I came back because I was there in June, and then I came back for a couple of months and I got my act together. And then I planned it. I planned to not be there for like 6 weeks. And everybody, all my friends, all the people that work with me, they were like, there's no way he's going to last. Not a chance. He's going to lose his mind.
Why would they say that?
Yeah. And
why would they say that?
Because like, you know, because I was going to be by myself.
Yeah.
So they thought I'd get lonely. And they thought that I would, you know, start missing New York and have a hard time, frankly, more importantly, staying away from my businesses, which I had never done in my 30-something years of being in business. You know? And so I just said, I have to do this. And here's what I found out. I found out that, first of all, it was one of the best 5 or 6 weeks of my life. I found out that I don't have to work to be happy. And that I can be, I can find interest in so many other things other than what I'm doing today. And I could be alone.
That is one of the hardest things for people to do.
Yeah. And you don't know it until you do it.
What?
Not for a long weekend, for like real time.
Yeah. What were there some things that you figured out about yourself in that time span of being alone with Nacho that you didn't really realize, or that emerged and you're like, man, that's been sitting there forever. I didn't really realize I was into this or needed that.
I think that it made me, well, first of all, it made me realize that, and most people will tell you this, that the European lifestyle is so much more relaxed than the American lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like they, you know.
I'm surprised you didn't pick to be in Italy in August. Don't they take all of August off? Well, you couldn't have worked in the kitchens then if they all take it off.
Exactly. Well, the whole point is that they get up and they go to work, you know, to live. We live to work. There's a completely different adrenaline.
Yeah.
And listen, I love to work, but I think what I realized is that I'm not a workaholic, and that I do what I do because I really care about it and I love it.
Yeah.
But I can also not do it. The difference is, for somebody like me, I'm lucky. I really feel lucky because when I'm not cooking professionally, when I'm not in my restaurants or cooking on TV or writing my cookbooks, the thing I do to relax is cook. Like, you'll be a guest in my, like, I cook. I have a house in the Hamptons, and I cook every weekend. I literally run a hotel. It's a free hotel, but it's a hotel. And my house is filled with my friends.
Sounds perfect. I'll be there.
Fine. My house is filled with my friends and you know, Sophie and my family.
Yeah.
And I cook 3 meals a day, every single day. And I'm in my bathing suit though, so it's totally fine. And it's a different pace, but I love doing that. I love nourishing people. I love cooking for people. It's the way I show my love.
Mm-hmm. But what was the difficult part about being in Italy? Was there any like look in the mirror shit that happened that you're like, all right, I've been pushing this one down? Like, did anything get deep or difficult, or was it just pure damn joy?
Honestly, Danica, I was in Italy. I was cool. I like it. I saw a bunch of people I knew there, because the one thing you realize is that when you're in Rome, like, people roll through Rome.
Yeah, it's a vacation destination.
Yes. So
sure.
like people would call me and be like, I'm there, let's have a drink, let's have dinner. I'm gonna be there on Thursday night. And people kept saying to me over and over, this is the happiest I've seen you in a long time.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, it was
Right?
great. And they were right. You know, I kind of walked around with like this perpetual smile on my face. I was relaxed.
Yeah.
I wasn't stressed out. If something happened in the restaurants, I couldn't go because I wasn't there.
Sure.
So it made it my decision making was made for me.
You know, I feel like especially Americans, you were talking about obviously the difference in culture between Europe and America. And I totally agree. I lived in England. I've traveled to Europe. And I feel like we wear working our asses off like a badge of honor. We're like, I worked more than you. I didn't even take a vacation.
I know. It's true.
It's true.
It's true.
When I lived in England, everybody took a holiday.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody. Every year you always took a vacation. And I've done it ever since then.
Why'd
I lived
you
there
live
from
there?
16 to 19 for racing. That's why I was a high school dropout.
Right.
My junior year, I left halfway through and lived there for 3 years. And so I came back when I was 19. And I think maybe when I was like 20 or 21, like I took my sister to Bora Bora. I'm like, we're going on a vacation, a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good rule.
Oh, it totally
To
is.
take time for yourself.
Yes.
So did things change when you came home as far as like, look, out of sight, out of mind with your business a little bit. You got some perspective on, you don't have to work to be happy. Working more does not make you more happy. It's not more rewarding. And, did things change when you came home?
Definitely. I mean, I think that, I've been opening restaurants since I'm 25 years old. So, and there's always been sort of something on the board, like that's coming up next.
Sure.
And I'm not doing that anymore. Like I'm really focusing my business life a lot more than like where I don't feel like I need to conquer everything in the food world. And the food world, like your world, has changed so much in terms of media and stuff like that, for like the last 20 years, like it's like you wake up in the morning and we'd be sitting around my office and it's like Disney World. It's like, what phone call is going to come next? Which is a really nice thing. I mean, opportunities come.
Yeah, right. It's a champagne problem, but
it's a champagne problem. But the best thing, I always tell people this, that the best decisions that I've ever made are the ones I say no to. And I think that I'm sort of adding that. I'm adding more no's to the no's that were already there, and I'm just a lot more focused, and I don't need to do a gazillion things.
I just had this conversation with my girlfriend last night about, this show's starting. And she's like, wow, I can just sense you're so happy. And I told her, I was like, you were right a couple of years ago when I was freaking out in my head because I was retiring. And I was like, I've got to get all these projects going. I've got to do this. And I've got one last platform to tell my story or launch whatever I want to do. And you're like, she told me, hey, slow down. Like, don't rush it. It will come. And I told her, girl, you were right. You were totally right. And now it's taken 1.5 years. And, this podcast has come together really quickly. But I'm like, here's the difference to me. When you do things, I said this exact thing to her. I said, when you do things, when you're really busy doing things that you love to do, you're energized. When you're really busy doing things that are not true to you, you're drained.
That's true.
I was busy as hell yesterday, but it was an amazing day, and I couldn't go to sleep. I was like full of energy. And so I think that's a really good barometer. And, you obviously display that when you cook for all your friends in the Hamptons. Like, you are energized by cooking.
No question about it. I would gather that, most successful professional athletes face that moment of retirement, and everybody's a young person when they retire in sports. Yeah. And I guess you're concerned about losing relevance, right? I mean, that's really you want to be relevant. You want to continue your relevance.
I think that's what the ego says. The ego says I want to be relevant, but I had to listen to something that was more meaningful, which was I want to be inspiring and I want to be impactful. And
you have every opportunity to do that.
Like when Marcus, who I said I interviewed, he was like, who's this show for? And I said, it's for me. This show is not for a specific person because I could screw that up. I don't know you. I don't know that person. I know me though. So I'm going to make this show for me, and hopefully the crowd will show up that's like me. But I think that's really cool that you came back and you said, look, this is me. I'm going to focus on what I want. I'm going to do the things I enjoy. I'm going to the Hamptons to cook for my friends because I love that, because that fills me up. And I love these restaurants and I love cooking. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to worry about launching another product or another show. And because look, there's a big difference between a TV show about cooking and cooking.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And I think that I've been able to continue. I've been on Food Network for 25 years, and I continue to evolve. I'm always the same person, but I continue to evolve what I'm doing there and what my approach is to food. And I listen to what people want and what they yearn for in terms of food, because that's my lane, you know. And they look to me for inspiration and ideas, and I understand that that's part of my job.
Well, the network's not been around all that. I mean, how long's the network been around?
It's been around for just over 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there since the beginning.
Yeah. Your founding father.
One of them.
Speaking of father, like food industry is crazy, right? I mean, I was a waitress for a hot second. And
Were you good?
I was terrible. Terrible.
That's a good thing. You don't need to be the best waitress in America, that's for sure.
Thank God I didn't need that skill, because when they didn't like what came out, I was like, no, you didn't tell me you wanted the sauce on the side. And I'm argumentative. It's not my sweet spot. Yeah, I can be that way. And then we weren't allowed to talk to the chef for some reason in the restaurant I worked in. Like, you weren't allowed to talk to the chef. So I'm like, shit. How do I ask for something specific that this customer wants without getting in trouble? But look, it's tough. Like it's late nights. It's not even just nights. It's days. It's prep. There's a lot. So, what's the balance like? Like, how did you feel like it was out of whack most of the time, or did you feel like you found a groove? Was it bad back in, like, was it really difficult in the beginning and good now?
In terms of what?
Just family balance.
Oh, family?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think any sort of like high-powered profession is going to have, issues and balancing like personal life and business life, just because it takes up so much of your brain power, and it takes up a lot of in the case of what I do, it takes up a lot of your physical power as well. So, listen, I've been working 14 to 16-hour days every day for my whole life. And so, yeah, it certainly makes personal life more difficult.
Do you think you can, like, is there someone that can understand that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I would never make a blanket statement or about, can you be successful in the restaurant business and also have a personal life? Of course you can. It's difficult to do, and I think you're right. I think you need to find the right person. But you can say that about anything. That's all. That's all anybody ever talks about is like finding the right person in any situation.
Yeah. Well, look, like, I think that in the cultural standard or paradigm of relationships, there's this assumed role of, how much time you're supposed to spend together, what you're supposed to do, what you do in your free time. And like, the older I get, the more I realize it's just a man-made construct. It's just a human construct of what's acceptable. And it doesn't have to be like that. Like, you can go take a guy's trip. Girls can go take a girl's trip. You don't have to do every single last thing together. Like, I grew up with two parents. Like, my parents did everything together. So that was my modeling. I'm like, that doesn't have to be like that. And so you can have two things that you love. And so for me, I talk a lot about like the macro balance and the micro balance. Like, that in life, I don't think it's possible on a micro level. Like, right now, you're not with your family or you're not at the restaurant. You're talking to me.
Yeah.
Something's out of balance.
What's out of balance?
Well, you're not doing something else. So, even if it takes a span of time of like, you dive in for a month on something because you're starting up a restaurant or something like
Right.
that, like it's out of balance. But then you know what? Maybe the month before it wasn't, and you were home a lot, or you know. So I'm kind of like one of those people that's like, look at the macro, like look at the big version, look at the totality of it, and you know, the ebbs and flows don't have to be in one particular rhythm. They just have to have one.
Yeah, I think I've been really lucky. I have one kid, and you know, she's an adult. She's 23, and my relationship with her is the greatest. I mean, like, we're friends besides the fact that I'm her father. I mean, there are definitely lines that she can't cross. But
still at 23?
Oh, absolutely.
Hang on, you called her adult, but then you said there are lines to cross. What does that mean?
What it means is that she actually hangs out with my friend group. I mean, Sophie is amongst us always because everybody loves her, and she's cooler than all of us, and we always want to be around her. But at the same time, you know, she's still only 23, and she still needs to be parented. And you know,
does she agree with that?
She does. She does. I mean, she's done. You know, she graduated from school in May, and she already has a really good job out in California. She's a reporter for ABC.
Cool.
And so she's doing exactly what she wants to do, and she's a go-getter. But I think that one of the things I was able to give her as a kid growing up in the restaurant business was I gave her exposure to, besides the fact that, yes, she has a great palate and she'll eat anything. That was just exposure, okay?
I love that. Only a chef could describe their kid like that.
Yeah.
She has a great palate.
She has a great palate. She really cares about food. She's not a good cook. She doesn't spend a lot of time cooking, but she loves to eat. But even way more important than that, she grew up running around my restaurants, and she wasn't aware of it then, but just basically through osmosis more or so, she saw people working really hard, enjoying what they're doing, and smiling. And so as soon as she got old enough to understand that work was something that was going to happen, she wanted to go to work. Like, if she didn't love school so much, college, she would have quit and gone to work because she wants to work based on her childhood, watching people in my businesses really love what they do.
I love that. It's like a paradigm shift, you know, within an industry that has a bad reputation. Like, not an industry, not cooking, but working, right? People think, I gotta go to work. Why can't your work be awesome, right? feel like that about food, you know? People like, healthy food is so terrible. I want the ice cream. I want the pizza. I want the whatever. I'm like, why? It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good.
I love my work. I mean, I never... Do I complain about work? Yeah, because I'm a human being. But basically, that almost never happens. I love what I do for a living. I feel really lucky, and it's not just my work; it's my lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, even when I get away from it all, and go live in Rome for 6 weeks. I'm still like in my apron cooking at somebody else's restaurant because I'm so attracted to it.
Would you say then that your time in a house, like your home, a Rome home, your Hampton home, whatever, like, is that your self-care time? Is cooking your self-care time?
100%. When I get out to, I've had this house in the Hamptons now for about 10 years. When I get there, my entire body shifts. Like, I feel my body, like, it's almost like it drops down like a notch. I sleep longer. I sleep sounder. It's just I can feel my body sort of healing itself.
Is that like a time when you think to yourself, why do I do anything else? Or is it, this is really good for a little while every now and again? Like, what is your ideal?
I think it's balance.
Yeah, right. You need both. I need both. Like, I mean, I do relaxing things. I'm like, this is great, but I'm bored now. Yeah. You know, or like, I need something rewarding or something, you know, like, I want to go accomplish something. That's kind of what I say in my head. I'm like, I need to go accomplish something.
Yeah. No, I need both for sure. But I combine them all the time. Like when I'm done here, one of the things I have to do is I have to go shop. I have to go to Whole Foods and shop. I'm cooking brunch tomorrow morning for 20 people in my apartment because I'm taking them to the Belmont Stakes.
Oh, cool.
And frankly, like, I can't let them eat at the racetrack.
Is it this weekend
tomorrow.
Then? Oh, it's tomorrow. Yeah, there are the races always on Saturday for
the big races are mostly on Saturday.
Yeah.
So as a New Yorker, it's a big tradition for me to take a bunch of people to the Belmont Stakes every year. So what happens is it's an all-day affair. So I cook breakfast for them in the morning. They come in there, like everybody's all suited up. So they come to my house at 9 o'clock in the morning. I feed them. I put them in cars. We go racing.
Do they get mimosas?
Tomorrow morning it's going to be it's a tangerine tequila spritz.
Of course it is. I forgot to ask. Do you drink the mint juleps?
Yes, I drink one mint julep. Well, let me go back. I'm a huge bourbon lover.
Okay.
So I drink bourbon neat or with like one ice cube or something. But every year, right before the Derby, when I say right before, I mean like 2 minutes before they're about to go into the gate, I have a mint julep. It's sort of something that I do. I don't drink a bunch of them. Yeah.
It's a ritual.
Yeah, they're good.
Just looks
they're
good.
Sweet, but they're good.
You like them? God, it tastes horrible.
Really?
Yeah, horrible.
Do you drink bourbon?
No.
What do you drink?
Wine.
Well, you're fancy. I'm sorry.
What? What? I grew up in Roscoe, Illinois. You grew up in like New York. I mean, like I grew up in the middle of nowhere.
I have to open your alcohol horizons a little bit.
I guess. I mean, Aaron likes scotch.
Yeah, so he probably likes bourbon too.
Yeah. Yep. It's terrible. That's fine. Mint julep it on. Right. So they come over, you have 20 people over, and you cook for them, then you take them out.
Then we go racing.
Yeah.
And then after racing, we go to a steakhouse in New York. So we go back and so they don't eat during the day. They just drink a bunch of wine during the day. And then I have to feed them again.
Well, if you eat too much, it's hard for it to really be effective, the alcohol.
Yes, that's true.
Why is that?
Absorption. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a thing though, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It really bums it all out.
I'm such a lightweight now, though.
I was going to ask, so you had a Bobby Flay Fit.
Yeah.
You had like more of a healthy
cookbook.
Mm-hmm. And why?
It's probably the question I get asked almost the most.
Damn it. I try and be original.
No.
I really want to know because I'm super into fitness.
No, not that question, but like people ask me how I, as somebody who's around food all day, how do I stay in shape?
Sure. Yeah.
And so, listen, health and fitness is a huge subject, and people, they want to feel good and they want to look good,
Yeah.
And so I wrote a book about it's a cookbook, but I talk a little bit about my sort of rules of life.
Well, what are they?
Well, a couple of things. Number one is, when I go to a restaurant, I don't eat everything on my plate. I eat 3/4 of it. So it's like the 75% rule. It makes a big difference. It's 25% less calories.
I mean.
Number two is, if I don't like something, I don't eat it, which is something that people do all the time. They're like, they eat it even if they don't like it.
Yeah, I agree.
So if it's not good, I'm not going to finish it. I'm not going to eat it.
Yep.
And I think one of the biggest ones for me is I don't eat late at night, which is something I used to do.
When do you have a time that you stop at, or do you just?
There's not a time.
Try and have a few hours before you go to bed.
But it was a hazard of my industry. Yeah. Speaking of hazards of my industry, where like you get off at 11 or 12 at night, and then we'd go out eating and drinking until 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you go to sleep. The worst. Yeah. So I don't do that anymore. I mean, every once in a while, of course, but like.
That's a lifestyle shift. That's a big lifestyle shift.
But I don't like the word diet. I think that it's complete bullshit, and it's a quick fix. Mm-hmm. And so you can find some fancy diet or some diet that says don't eat this or eat that, and then you're going to lose 12 pounds in 45 days.
Right.
But you know what happens.
Yeah, you go back because
and it's worse.
My hope with my book, because there's recipes, there's a workout program, there's the mental side of things too. Is like,
are your pancakes in there?
Yeah. I don't have the chocolate chips in them, but they are in there.
Okay.
Is that I wanted people to stop looking at it as a diet, basically, like what you're saying. Like, stop looking at it as a temporary thing. I said, if you do this program for 90 days and you eat this way, you do the workouts, you're going to lose weight. Period. Like, you just are. But what are you going to do after that? So, people. If anyone were asked, I'm sure they would say, I want to look good for life. So you got to figure out how you're going to make.
I know.
Why are you going to do it that's going to last for life? Not like I want to lose 12 pounds, because you can.
But we live in a quick fix environment.
Yeah.
It's like everything has to be done quickly. press a button to make it happen. It doesn't work that way in health.
Yeah, I think we're going back in time. I think the days of like quick food and fast food and processed food, I think it's going, I don't know, I feel like we're getting more of that farm to table kind of local ingredients and ingredients with integrity. I don't know, I see that a lot in the restaurant world. That's it's a good thing, because I think for a long time there was many decades where it was all about the faster the better. And food means something to me. I can't throw things away, because once I've made it, I'm like, I put love into that.
Yeah.
Can't throw it away. Yeah. All right. Well, what do you do for workouts then? Do you work out, or is it just a matter of like?
I'm mostly a runner. I've run 4 marathons, and I run. I ran in high school for the short period of time I was there. So
when I saw you walking 5 blocks here, when the driver dropped you off at the wrong place, you're like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah. Yeah. No problem. I walk. Being actually living in Rome for 6 weeks, like you can walk the city. It's a walking city. You walk it. I could walk the city every day, the entire city. It's great. It's a great walking city. But New York is the same way. I walk to my restaurant to work all the time. It takes about 25 minutes to walk. Yeah. It's great.
It's amazing. A sweat you get going.
Makes a big
walking
difference.
That far.
But I'm a runner. I run along the West Side Highway a lot, and the last 5 months I've been doing yoga.
Really? Well, tell me, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that it's good for my head, and it's good for my body as well, but it's really good for my head.
I would agree. I'm a very type A, go, 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 go. If I have to choose between CrossFit and yoga, I'm like CrossFit. you know, like if I'm going to take the time to do something athletic, I'm going to go all the way.
Because you feel like you're getting something out of it.
Yes.
You can see it, feel it.
Yes, exactly. But when I do yoga, I get done and I'm like, I need to do more of that. It's good for my head too. I think that, the breathing, I think we probably just underestimate the breathing. Like as human beings, we're shallow breathers. We have a lot more capacity. And the calming effect is you could take 1, 2, or 3 deep breaths and feel better. Like we could literally sit here and just take a deep breath and be like, that feels better. Why didn't you do it?
What, just now?
Yeah.
Because my yoga instructor is always yelling at me to breathe better. It's just like.
Well, it is a difficult practice to get the breath and the movements
very hard.
together. It took me a decade to really match it, you know, and match my pace. Which the problem is class is dictated by the teacher's pace, not your pace. So it's really nice when they I love Vinyasa flow classes. So, when they give you a mini flow at the beginning of the class, and then they're like, all right, go through this, do it 3 more times on your own. That's what I love, because there's like a real rhythm to that. But have you dipped into like the meditation side of it at all?
Not
like,
really.
have you kind of
Not really.
I know Shavasana always feels good, but that's kind of the progression of yoga, is you end up realizing how good it is for your mind. And then you go, okay, next level is absolutely doing nothing and just sitting here and quieting down. And it's a practice. Like, it's not like you sit down and you see, you get some like divine messaging every time you sit down, or like feel like you're floating when you're done. But the ability to slow down resets the day so well. And I'm saying this because I wish I'm reminding myself to do it more. But maybe that'll be somewhere where you get. But I think we're similar in a sense of like going, knowing that we need some balance, but like go kind of people.
So you do meditate?
I do, not regularly.
For how long?
This is the problem, is when I do something, I like to go all the way. So I look at meditation like, if I do it for 5 or 10 minutes, nothing amazing happens. I'm not going to bother with that. So unless I have at least like 30 minutes, like I could probably get into a meditation, almost be there for an hour. Like when I get off on it enough, like I could go full hippie and do certain breathing exercises first, then get into some visualization breathing, then sort of slip into the more meditative spot where you're really kind of shut down. And then after that, I might like do like cards, like pull a card. Have you ever, like angel cards, or they're not tarot cards, but
yeah, I know.
Sort of intuitively, and kind of go through that. And that whole process could take an hour, and I really enjoy that. But damn it, when do I have an hour?
Come on. Really?
I know. I need to make more time.
You do. How are you going to? What do you do to fulfill your competitive nature?
So with racing, I mean, yes, I'm competitive, but yes, I am competitive. I mean, but I think that the success of a business is the mark of, is the mark of success, right? So, if I do this show and people listen, that's the competitive side of me. The ego wants to have tons of people listening and resonate with what I'm saying. To me, that's the competition, is like, how can I get more and more real and honest and vulnerable and true to myself so that I can share on a level that people will resonate with them. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the competitive challenge. It's with myself.
Yeah.
Everything is with yourself, like you said. That's why you probably had so much fun in Rome by yourself, because once we become our own best friend, everything else is just icing on the cake.
It was also cool because I didn't get recognized there almost ever.
Yeah.
And I could go to a bar by myself, sit and have a cocktail, and nobody's like, what are you doing here by yourself?
Yeah. That is something that people, kind of forget about with like the world of being recognizable, is that like the regular stuff, like even just like going to a concert.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Or, I mean, like that kind of stuff gets going to the grocery store, mm-hmm. like how you look. Oh, it looks like a slob today. She looks like, I mean, Jesus, really? Mm-hmm. It does. I mean, look, there's a lot of added benefits, when you walk onto the jet, you're like, okay, most people don't do this, but there are other sides to it. So I can understand why, Rome was really a good place for
great.
You. Well, wait, hang on. I have two questions. Okay. So I read that you said never send food back.
I didn't say that.
You didn't?
No.
Scratch that. Okay. Never eat airplane food.
I said I would never send food back.
Oh.
But like
Why?
Just because I would never do that to somebody in my business. I would never want them to feel like that I was sending, that I, as a chef, or sending back food to a chef. But if you came to my restaurant and it wasn't what you wanted, whether it was undercooked or overcooked or whatever it was, and you weren't happy with it, I would want you to send it back, 100%.
So if my dressing came on the salad and not on the side,
100%, yes.
Is that like, would you send that back?
If that's what you wanted?
No, if that's what you wanted.
Wait, I'm
because that's not saying the food's bad. It's just saying, well,
doesn't matter. You didn't get what you want. Yeah, like I'm serving my customers. They're there. They actually made the effort to put their clothes on, get into a taxi, walk into my restaurant, and sit down and take out their credit card. So like, I appreciate every single person that does that, because it could stop tomorrow. I don't want them for 1 second to not get exactly what they want.
I respect that.
Yeah, I don't care.
But it's confusing why you wouldn't send it back.
Because there's just a little courtesy there.
Okay.
So
is it like because you're a chef?
Yeah, because I wouldn't want, well, first of all, I wouldn't want some other chef saying, and Bobby Flay came to my restaurant and he sent his steak back to me. Can you believe he did that?
I mean, like, look, I don't ever send something back if I don't like it. That's just a preference. But like a preparation that I ask for,
you send it back.
Which usually I'm a total diva and I ask for sauces on the side and things like that. I'm like, especially with a salad.
Why do you do that?
I mean, look, I work really hard as far as choosing the right foods, working out, and the last thing I want to do is have like a gallon of fat and sugar and salt sitting on my food when I don't need that flavor. Like I like simpler things, and it's healthier that way. So for me, it's about my body.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Yeah. But see, I watched the movie Waiting. Have you seen that?
No.
With Ryan Reynolds.
No. About
sending food. Like it's called. They work at a restaurant called Shenanigans.
Okay, Shenanigans. That's funny.
Yeah, and if you send food back, let's just say it's not pretty.
Okay, got it.
And so the first time I ever watched, I think it's called Waiting. I watched it that night. Went to dinner, and my salad came with the dressing on it, and I sent it back. And I was sick for like 2 days.
Really?
Yes. Fact.
Well, I can say right now, like no restaurant that I know of does anything crazy like that. I mean, that's to me.
You're
that's
Bobby Flay, though.
It's a myth.
Not sure I was at a Bobby Flay restaurant.
Okay.
You know, it's much more. It's probably below that. And then airplane food. What do you? You know, a lot of people ride on airplanes.
I don't eat it. Period.
Is there some insightful reason?
Well, it's not fresh.
Right.
I don't know how long it's been sitting around. And there's alternatives. The alternative is you eat before you get on the plane. Or you can bring like something that's packaged that's good for you, like yogurt or something like that. Like I can get by not eating on a plane for a few hours. I'll be okay.
That's a better alternative.
In my mind,
yeah.
The answer is always no. And the flight attendants always joke with me, and they're like, "I knew you weren't gonna eat." I'm like, "Well, okay."
They know.
I mean, if you say that,
you're like, "You can have my meal," and they're like,
"I'm good."
I'm good. That says a lot. Okay, well, that was a bunch of no's, but so like, give us remedial cooks a few like tips for the like things to always do when you're cooking for people. What should you always make sure that you keep in mind? It could be from preparation, anything.
I mean, a couple things. I think it's important that when you're cooking for other people to cook within yourself. So cook things that you feel like you can really cook well.
Yeah.
Experimentation is great. I think it's better in the sort of in the privacy of your own eating.
Yeah.
You know,
when you're testing new things.
Yeah.
Do your own beta test.
Kick them around. So I always say to cook within yourself. I think that the best way to cook for people, especially if you as the cook want to be part of the party as well, is to cook family style. So just make platters of food as opposed to trying to plate everything for everybody.
Yeah.
So like in my house, like if I'm making, like I make fish tacos a lot in the summer because I go to the fish market, I'll buy 3 different kinds of fish. I'll make one marinade for all 3. And then I'll make different salsas and relishes and tortillas and stuff like that. I'll just it's almost like a taco bar. I just put it out. It just makes it easier in terms of service, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's, you should make it easier on yourself. I have to cook lunch today. I have a business meeting in my apartment, and I just said I'll cook lunch, and frankly I have no idea what I'm going to cook yet. You have any ideas? Should I make them pancakes?
Pancakes or waffles? Easy.
I have some duck in my refrigerator, so I might make a duck pasta or something.
Duck pasta? Yeah. I think about duck. I think about like a little sweeter, like a Chinese 5-spice almost, sort of salad, almonds, mixed
with
grains.
Duck. Yeah,
with the
sounds
duck.
good.
Good duck confit salad.
Can you make that for my guest today?
Yeah, sure. I have to. I mean, after 1:30, I'll be late to my thing tonight, but but I can make it.
Late to my thing tonight.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.